Welcome, everyone. This is our monthly clinician awareness or cultural awareness seminar. Today we have Sharon Nelson, who's going to be talking to us about understanding the Afro-Caribbean community. Sharon has been always engaged in her community. She's the first vice president at the Jamaica Association of Montreal. She champions the topic of mental health in Black communities. In addition to a professional career in university administration, Sharon has been recently elected a member of the EMSB Council of Commissioners. So she brings a very important and unique perspective. Today she'll be talking about how Black communities might find a point of entry difficult into the healthcare system and other aspects of our society. She's going to talk about how the first elements of facilitating entry for members of Black communities are trust and normalization. When it comes to discussing mental health and wellness, the point of inflection is getting to know the community and being present. So this discussion will allow us to focus on how that can happen. So I think it's going to be important for clinicians from a variety of backgrounds. So without further ado, I think I'll turn the time over to Sharon Nelson, and I'll have to leave at about 11:25, but she can go a bit longer if we're having questions and stuff. So, okay, thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, and thank you for having me at this important event. I am going to. I'm wondering if it's okay if I can share my screen. I have a presentation I'd like to um, just put up.
Yeah,
Is it okay?
you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Sharon.
Fantastic. Thank you, and nice to see you, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak on this important topic. I think it's really an important one. And let me share my screen. So I put together a short presentation on this presentation on what we're talking about today. So thank you for that kind introduction, Dr. Jarvis. I appreciate that. A little bit about me. And so I'm going to start off. So I have a lot more pictures that I'll talk more about. I'll talk to the images, and please feel free to stop me at any time. So the idea is what are the points of inflection? So as Dr. Jarvis talked about, my engagement in the community has been for many years, and most recently I'm here with the Jamaica Association. That is a 62-year young organization in Montreal. And leads into the points of inflection that I'm going to get to, but just a little bit about what we're doing. And we started off as a social organization actually we're 63 years young, 63 years ago on Van Horn Street for newly arrived persons from the Caribbean, to find that place of community, commonality, and to share experiences. And since that day, we've grown in Côte-des-Neiges and throughout Montreal and throughout Quebec, and in fact in Canada, as one of the go-to places for members of the Jamaican community, but not only the Jamaican community, to members of the larger community, not only Black people, but everyone who wants to the services of the association. So out of that, I mean, there are many other associations here in Montreal, cultural organizations and other organizations. And we've just 5 years ago, sorry. Oh, I want to mention some of the things that we do, and this ties into our the points of inflection is Jamaica Day, and we're having a Jamaica Day to celebrate Jamaican culture. And this is one point where we feel that this could be a point of getting to know the community. Dr. Jarvis and his team were a part of Jamaica Day last year, and I believe look forward to being a part of that community, that event this year. But really, this is a great way to get to know who we are, what at different levels, and outside of the clinical component of being in an office or being in a doctor's office or being in a hospital setting. I want to talk about the Caribbean Coalition Network of Montreal that brings together currently 7 Caribbean organizations 7 or 8 organizations that are working together. And these are associations that make up Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, St. Vincent, Trinidad, Dominica. So these organizations are over 50 years old. And this is another group, a set of individuals that are in Montreal that go to the different community organizations for various reasons. But we, as community organization, have come together and formed this grouping in order to help each other as in a way to help our community members as well. And yeah, that's what I want to say about that. One of the major things that we are doing this year is a Caribbean Carnival. That's really getting to know, getting the community together. Really, last year as well, Dr. Garjarvis and his team were part of the Caramas, which was in downtown Montreal, which was brought together close to 8,000 people. And there was a table there talking about mental wellness, maybe in a wild, as described as a wild time in downtown Montreal, but it was an opportunity for people to get to know that this exists. This, the services exist. Get the clinicians closer to the community. It was a very uproarious time, but an important time nonetheless. And in fact, we're doing this year again. So what about the Caribbean community here in Montreal? It's a festive picture that I've put up here because in relation to Carnival. But what is about us? In our community, some of us are economically challenged. However, irrespective of this, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here. I'm trying to admit somebody. Okay. There's some economic challenges in the community. Irrespective of this, the community as people, open, hospitable, love exchange, and very, very inclusive, right? The history here is over, in terms of 70 years of Caribbean people coming to Montreal and more, but let's say the influx. I think when the first influx of the Liberal Party with the Pierre Elliott Trudeau, we saw a great influx of people coming to Montreal. But so it's been a long history of people being in Montreal, but the behavior of the general public is that people don't necessarily like to talk about what's happening to them. They don't necessarily like to talk about what's happening in their families, because that is something that they brought with them, and that's generational. That ties in, well, we don't talk about our business, no matter what's going on. Whether it's our economic realities or health in the family, that's something that's not shared necessarily. A lot of privacy, a lot of confidentiality, and that is uniform amongst genders, male and female, children, elders. You don't talk about stuff. So when you're talking about things that are when it relates to health and wellness, that goes even deeper. They don't necessarily talk about mental health in the family because, as you probably know, as in other groups as well, that can be shameful, that can be a blight, a slight on the family. And so they're not necessarily interested in sharing that with individuals they don't trust. They don't consider close to them. They don't know, they don't relate to, right? And I think that's relative to many people, but from the Caribbean perspective, that's and in the Black perspective, that's generally what it is. And so religion comes into play. Religion plays a very, very big role in the Caribbean. At one point, Jamaica, for example, had I think for 3 years running, held the Guinness Book World Record for having the most churches next to bars, right? So people will go to church and talk about and express, not in words necessarily, express their feelings And I think, as was noted here, Dr. Jarvis, you talked about Reverend Joel Copeters, who brought together Presbyterian reverends who talked about what they're seeing in their churches. So, in terms of the behaviors and people. And so, if people are having mental episodes or, they're not well, they tend to go towards the religious component, right? And that's where we see uh, a lot of situations where maybe sometimes pastors or reverends are not able to um, manage or understand what that is. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to have a space in which to, you know, show that direct them to the help that's needed for their congregants. But that's exactly what we do see within the churches here and abroad. Um, Caribbean people are very superstitious. As much as we are religious, there's a lot of superstition. And I'll give you an example of Audley Coley, who is very outspoken about his his bipolar situation. He actually wrote a book called Oddly Enough. And that book talks about his early life and when his mother, who was a very religious woman, understood that there was something wrong with her son. She didn't know what was going on with him. She brought him back home to Jamaica and brought him to an Obia man. So an Obia man is voodoo, right? Because they wanted to shed whatever um, a curse that was believed to be a curse on her son. So actually, whether it's mental wellness, mental health, or sickness or death, sometimes it's related to superstitious. When my father died, somebody believed that it was somebody who threw obia on him, and that's the reason why he died, right? So it wasn't because it was the facts were in front of us, it was, or that he was ill, it was somebody, you know, um, inflicted some kind of harm spiritually to him. The last component here was whether people are religious or not, there's a spiritual reality. They believe that there's a greater being. And so turning to medicine and turning to clinicians and turning to that type of help is not gonna help them. It's a spiritual approach that they will use, right? And so these are some of the aspects of um, the, that is within the Caribbean community and some of the beliefs, that's to say, that are in the Caribbean community. However, what we understand that from our nature, we're an open and welcoming group of people. Once we get to know who we are dealing with and what they're bringing forward, and irrespective of who they are. Yesterday, Dr. Jarvis, in our meeting, you talked about, because I'm a white person coming into a Caribbean or a Black community, would that there be a barrier? But I will venture to say that that's not necessarily true. It's a matter of first and foremost of trust. And I'll give an example a little bit later on about that. So I know that as we talked about in our meeting yesterday, we talked about who should be able, and more we're hearing about the need for um, individuals that look like their patients. But if that pool does not exist, then it's a matter of building trust and being present in the lives of individuals to say, well, yeah, definitely, I can be that person to provide that help for that individual. So to the point of how to get involved, and this is where I think I started naming some points of where we think that it could be important places to get involved, even outside of the hospitals, because people may not be necessarily picking up a phone and calling you and saying, I need your help. They again, it goes back to the idea of trust and idea of um, who do I go to? People need to know who to go to. And so these are some points or 8 points that I think can be really great. So in terms of associations, we talk about the Jamaica Association, the Caribbean Coalition, but there are many, many other organizations here that have existed for a long time. And I think it's getting to know who the leaders are within those organizations. And if you want, I can definitely send that information to you so that you can decide how you want to manage that information, how you want to connect with individuals. So with associations, we have West Island Black community, we have South Shore Black community, we have Chateauguay Horizons, we have the Cornucopia, we have the MCSO. Those are just a few on top of the many other cultural organizations in the city. In terms of churches, and we talk about the religion and getting to know um, and helping these pastors actually, because some of them may have some kind of knowledge, but many may not. And they refer back to religious teaching only, right? And that gives some kind of comfort and a kind of support, but it's not necessarily the only thing that people need because within families, there is a need. We understand. We had a session in January or February 2024 at the association where that was where Shirley went and a doctor from the Jewish General gave a panel discussion on what they're seeing within their practice and what they're seeing in generally. And that night we had a number of we had table tennis night at the Jamaica Association, where we had members playing table tennis, but then engaging in the conversation and then starting to talk about their own family histories with mental health, members in their family, members who they want to find help for, but don't know who to go to. So the associations are strong in that way in terms of getting people to come forward and to share their experience and to let us know that they do need that help. And the churches are the same. The churches are the same. There are many that would necessarily, want that help. And I can definitely provide a list of different churches or maybe even contacts to the pastors or reverends in those particular churches. So right here, I have a really important contact, which is our newspaper that's been around now for 33 years, which is a community contact. Putting an article in there, writing, we had an article with Egbert Gay, who is listed here. He's now since passed, but his paper still strong. And with respect to mental health, we started a series with the Children's Hospital on mental health, and we'd have clinicians write articles in the community contact to really inform the 100,000, I think it's 100,000 in distribution, what people are experiencing, hearing from clinicians, and really reaching out to clinicians and to the wider public on what they're seeing in children, what exists, what help is there, or what people or families may be seeing in children, and where to go to in terms of help and resources. The radio, there's a number of radio stations relating to the Afro-Caribbean community and the Caribbean community, because it's not only Black people from the community, from the Caribbean, there's a whole range of individuals that identify and are Caribbean, but are not necessarily Black, but are Caribbean. So there's many radio stations, CKUT, CJLO, with Concordia. There is a Kanawake as well. There is LaSalle. We do have, and we are connected with a lot of the different radio personalities that have these community radio stations that can and are willing to interview people that want to have different types of conversations. And these are important conversations. that is needed within our community. Talk about radio, there's TV. There's a number of TV personalities that also want different stories for their segments. We talk about Maya Johnson. There's Phil Carpenter. Then it's Anastasia Dextrine, where there's Breakfast TV. There is CKUT morning shows. There is CJAD. There is so many other personalities that we can definitely connect you with to start having those different connections and to be connected to the community in order to get that message across and to get closer to the community, because it's all about trust and it's all about normalization. It's, in other words, saying it's okay to talk about the situations that you're going through, because here we are, we're here to help you, to help to help your family and to help you get better, and other people coming forward. We've seen that people ready to talk about their stories because they've come to a point where they're feeling better and they're ready to share. There's no shame, there's no, because we remove that by normalizing, hey, I know somebody who had this issue, and here we can definitely help you. And Audley Coley has been a champion for us at the Jamaica Association to talk about his bipolar diagnosis and how he manages it. He's actually, in fact, at the Atwater Club, been there for over 30 years, and is like the go-to person for a group of women he calls the yummy mummies, and they can't live without him because he pumps them up, he makes them happy. But if you know his story, he is someone who is suffering from bipolar disorder, but he becomes the go-to person for so many. And had he not received the help that he had received, he wouldn't be that person today, right? So what are we seeing now? We know that people want to talk about it. And I give an example of condoms in the bathroom because it's kind of diametrically opposed, but I put that there because at the association, what we started to do many years ago was to put condoms in the bathroom. And people started laughing like, oh my God, why are you putting condoms in the bathroom? Right? But our goal was to normalize the conversation, to normalize it's okay to have condoms in the bathroom, because we do have a program called Au Futur program that is for single Black women that we run in collaboration with Maison d'Haïti for about 30 years now. And what we understand from these women is that maybe they didn't want to necessarily get pregnant, right? So we kind of put that preventative measure there. And now when we put the condoms in the bathroom, there are no condoms left in the bathroom. So we normalize the conversation by saying it's okay to have condoms in the bathroom, right? We know that they want to talk. We know that but so we set the stage for them in order to be able to talk. And yes, we can make a joke and we can laugh about it, but it's okay because we know that they're going to be used, right? The same thing with talking about mental health. And just like those young men that were there playing table tennis and listening to the conversation about mental health, and then they started to open up. In fact, there was one person who didn't want to stop the conversation after about 2 hours of talking. He didn't want to stop because it became a comfortable space in which to share his experiences, to share about his family, to share about what he's going through and the type of help he needed. So we know that they need help. So let's create that platform in which we can go to the people, we can get to them where they are. And essentially, sometimes that's what it is, getting to them where they are. But in order to do that, they need to see and to know how to get that help. They need to see the people, they need to be connected with you, they need to understand you. Not only as a patient and doctor and patient, but as a person. And that breaks the barrier immediately. And they want that trust for sure. And this is where I think it's important to go through to also partner with the community organizations, to have members working with you, like Dr. Jarvis has done and his team. They've reached out to community organizations, and we're able to have these conversations. and to get to know people and to get them into help and the treatment that they need, but also to help the families because we understand the families, there's a certain mistrust, if you will, within families of getting people to commit, if you will, to getting that help. So once you get what the person who needs that help and then their family is engaged, it's a better conversation. It's an easier conversation to have about mental health and wellness because it essentially helps the family. Um, I want to give some examples of how you can get involved. So I put Canaan Federally there, and people might know Canaan Federally is a funeral home, but Canaan Federally is known in the Black community. Whether it's a tea party, whether it's a conversation, whether it's they're coming to our members meeting and talking about pre-planning, whether it's breaking a leg on the dance floor. You know, everybody knows Bridget, everybody knows Mary, first name, everybody knows Chris, right? If you know Chris is doing your funeral or Chris is managing a funeral, you have no problems. You have no worries, you have no trouble. You have no, in fact, with Canaan Federally, they are, whenever we call them, they pick up the phone right away and we have this one-on-one conversation with them. And they've created a safe space for communities and people to reach out, actually making it seamless in many ways. But in that way, it's really having the bidirectional partnership with the hospital, with the clinicians, um, acting as co-partners and supporting each other in the efforts to bring people to the table, to bring people to get the help that they do need. And that's where I think that that could be a win-win for you and for our society, our organizations and our society as the organization being the impetus to, you know, say it's okay. We trust these individuals and we are creating trust with you and members who need that help. So last but not least, I don't know if you heard about this report. It's called the CADE report. And and so it's about the trust component. So this report was authored by Sita Ramdas, among others, including members of the community, Black community, and it chronicles the type of discrimination that people have encountered within the healthcare system. And it's, you know, when people start talking about their discomfort, in so many ways, whether it's ageism, sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, it's all chronicled in this report to let you understand what people have gone through and maybe how to counter that. Right. So I'd like to, I'm sharing that with you because I think it's an important component, important document to read in terms of learning or knowing more about it beyond what you already know. I'm sure you know a lot, but beyond what you already know to kind of contextualize reaching people, getting to people or getting them to open up with you. So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you. I want to leave the floor open for questions and conversation. If I went too fast, I do apologize. I do take myself fast, but it's an overview, and that's why I wanted to bring in the pictures and to let you, you know, go back to some of the conversation that I brought forward. So thank you, and I'm open to your questions.
Thank you, Sharon. That was really helpful for us to know and learn more about these different inflection points or ways into the community or ways to kind of invite the Caribbean community into our institutions, into our clinics too. I guess, I don't know, are there any comments for Sharon first off? I was going to be looking here at something that I took down. Hold on a second here. I was going to ask Jen, I mean, Jen just did a kind of a wrapped up a research project at the Clinique Jap. It's more in the French system, but they had a number of people that attended with lived experience from various communities. I don't know if this kind of resonates with you, Jen, and your experience and what you've been researching, or how this kind of might dovetail or kind of reinforce what you've already been learning.
Thank you so much for the talk. Actually, it was more, it's not really a research project. It's more like amélioration de programme.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Uh, but,
Yeah.
yeah, but I was like at the point where we're now, like we really do want to create more relationship with association because yes, we did have a lot of people like with lived experience being involved on their own because they already have a relationship with the clinic.
Mm.
But then now I feel if you want to go further, we need to have more relationship with association. We did invite spiritual leaders to start a conversation with us, and it was really rich. And the fact that you're talking, Sharon, about bi-directional relationships really resonate with the talk we had with them. They do want to have like easier access to us in exchange in giving us access to their knowledge and their relationship with the communities. And so we're there now. We're thinking about how we can navigate that together. But my big question for me to you, like at this point, is like how to choose the right person to it's just because like we're so overloaded in the health systems, like clinicians, they don't have times and it goes so fast. And so we do have like some relationship with association, more like the association working with street kids and proches, like membres de l'entourage. But then, like, I feel we do need to have a relationship with community, other associations. But I'm wondering which one and how to choose because you're talking a lot about trust, and I feel like trust is something you build. You need to um, in- il faut mettre du temps, il faut mettre. Fait que, tu sais, c'est de comment choisir les bonnes personnes because Montreal is such a diverse city and like the people we serve are coming from really different communities.
Mm. Oh, you're on mute, Sharon.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to find. Thank you. Yes, it's, when as you say this, I think about maybe one using a one opportunity within the community is um putting it out there. So two approaches. One is putting it out there in the community newspaper about what you're doing, how you want to get involved. And two, whether doing some kind of a discussion, whether it's online or in a specific space, right? To invite people to come in and to talk about that. I know that you're busy, but really to let people know that this is happening and how they can reach out, right? So whether an online session or an in-person session to get the community connected, to get to know people.
Yeah,
With the- Mhm.
I think a lot of people sort of intellectually know that community associations and churches are very important for people of different backgrounds, like maybe Caribbean background. But I think it's hard to know how to invite them into the clinical decision making, how to make them a part of the treatment plan.
Mhm.
There's a lot of I mean, I think our society is in many ways secular, in many ways mainstream. So those kinds of I think they're really at the core of what should be going on. But a lot of people look at them as outside or maybe not as informed, which I think is a mistake. So I don't know, do you have any suggestions on that? And we have a question from Nicholas too, I'll follow up with. So maybe how can we reach out and get more involvement from, or how can we be more open to association and religious input to our decisions?
Well, probably from that perspective, I would say maybe not so much the community, but the leaders having that conversation with leaders within those different associations and finding out how they can um, get the message using the leaders as the the voice,
Hmm.
not necessarily the first and foremost the clinicians, right? But really using the leaders as the voice to
Yeah.
um, invite people into the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I think you're maybe suggesting maybe a little bit of an effort, it may be an outreach effort where the clinicians don't just sit day in their clinics.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, and I know that everyone's very busy, so it's hard to manage, but
Right.
maybe to go out and offer their expertise out to different organizations and see if there's a way they can kind of give an education seminar or maybe develop some relationships around common needs or interests for the people they're serving. That, okay, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Coming
But
out of,
also,
yeah,
sorry, no, tell me.
no,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. Oh, you're coming out of the clinic more, not being so kind of uh, encased in the, we're supposed to be going out and doing more home visits, but what about community visits? That's something we could do more.
Yeah, I think using the community leaders to say, it's okay, come over, let's talk about it, because we are connected with people who have conversations with us. So that could definitely,
Mhm.
simplify or help to bring more people to the table.
Yeah, and then getting a kind of a short list of people we could reach out to first, and
Yeah.
then from there you'll learn more contacts. And yeah,
Yeah.
Nicholas had kind of a question about this. I have a question for Sharon. I work at the PEP clinic that's at the Douglas, which targets youth with the first episode of psychosis. My question is, do you have more points of inflection with young people in the Caribbean community? Thank you.
Yes.
Because you mentioned these 8 ones you had, and I guess he wonders if there are some that are more specific for the younger group that they serve.
Yes. We're working in collaboration with CRAR on a project called Youth Against Violence. And with respect to that, we bring together um, basketball kids that are playing basketball, that are involved in sports, that know other kids and all that kind of stuff. So we are connected to them because we're engaging in sports activities. We're engaging with a number of kids from that aspect. We're engaging with different community organizations that have youth at their core. So definitely, it's a great way to kind of through their coaches and through the people that are leading them, whether it's Denbrook Reed with Community Cares or Hugh Scarlett over at Montreal United. We're connecting with these individuals and they can identify for us who those kids are, right? And those kids can identify others in their circle of influence.
Hmm. So are these organizations that deal specifically with Caribbean youth, or is it kind of a general youth program?
There are both. There's Caribbean youth, and they have a mix of different kids. But we do have a number of Caribbean youth, yeah.
Oh, really? Nicholas, I should let you just speak up. Is that kind of satisfying? Did you get the answer you wanted, or do you have another something to add on to that?
No, I'm good, thank you.
So are you looking for like specific organizations that you can maybe
Um,
bring into your
um,
interventions, or what do you mean?
be, no, it's because at the PEP clinic we're trying to do what you just mentioned, research going more like into the community,
Mhm.
and for example, we have started going into like seizures, like high schools and stuff like that. But then I was thinking if there's like specific, like say like a Black community that is more focused there and like talk about like what the PEP clinic does and what our first episode of our psychosis is. Thank you.
No, we'd be happy to facilitate that with respect to our getting in touch with our coaches and getting the kids, around a table. in December, through the Youth Against Violence event, we did a basketball tournament, again, incentivizing kids through sports. And we brought in a speaker on someone who's now a motivational speaker for youth. He was a football player who played in the NFL, and he got involved in drugs, and he talked about his road, his traveled road, and where he is at now. So it really came in to talk about the impacts on his life and why it was the wrong decision for him to get involved in drugs. He really talked about and really hit home with a lot of the stories that he brought forward.
Yeah, that's an important inflection point, I think. And it's not on the list you gave, Sharon, is sports for younger people, especially
Mhm.
basketball, football, that kind of stuff. I think
Yeah,
that's a way in
yeah, absolutely, truly.
for the young. And you mentioned religion, I think, as well, which is the churches too, and I'm pointing out just points that are grossly neglected by clinical services. We just wouldn't go to those things right off. I think it has to be kind of a mutual discovery. The clinics and these inflection points, meaning sports organizations, religious organizations, we need to kind of discover each other because
Exactly.
we're both doing a lot of the same work, honestly. Like last
Mhm.
time we went to the Côte Black Community Association, I think that's the name. And we found they're doing a lot of work for families. They have a place, they have a sub-organization that's strengthening families in Black communities. So this is the kind of work we're doing in early psychosis as well. We're very interested in family work, but we don't even know about each other. So, hey, I think, yeah, I don't, is any other comments, Sharon, on that or anyone? Go ahead.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you so
Hi.
much for the Emperor talk.
Thank you.
I have one question. Do you, um, sorry, do you have any idea or tips to make it easier for men to get together or like disclose? Because I'm running the Japanese mental health team right now, and it's really difficult to get men to involved in.
Mhm.
And women is really easy.
Mhm.
They can chat together and they can disclose, they can communicate and talk about their families and mental health things. But the men is really difficult because of the stigma and stuff. So yeah, if you have any suggestion for that.
Absolutely, I do. In fact, I'm going to stop sharing. Um, there is a men's group that I can get you in touch with the leader of that men's group and how he formed that. Um, because if they meet, I think on a weekly basis or bi-monthly basis to talk
Mm.
about the struggles that they're going through. So definitely, I can send that information to Dr. Jarvis and his team, and they can definitely send that to you because in fact, interestingly enough, we found that when we just start talking with them, it's again, as I mentioned, that table tennis evening
Mhm.
was all men. And then
Oh.
they started talking about, like spontaneously,
Mm.
about their struggles, their situation, their family's situation, and looking for points of where do we get that help that we need, you know? So definitely connect that information, send that information on so that you can speak with the leaders at that group to see how they manage this group. In fact, let me definitely, yeah, I will send that information on.
Thank you.
But it sounds like our clinics should invest in a ping pong table.
Yeah,
The ping pong table in all of our clinics might be helpful
yes.
for some people to go and just play and have a little cat. It's a different kind of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in our ghastly waiting room, waiting for everybody, waiting for their next appointment. Said they could be playing table tennis, and we say, "Hey guys, okay, we're ready for your appointment."
Yeah.
Kind of a different feeling, huh?
Mm-hmm. But if I can also suggest one other point I think in terms of getting it out of the office and maybe in collaboration with the community groups, and to your point, Lynn, regarding the religious leaders, is potentially social media. I'm seeing this as a conversation between really normalizing the conversation, like saying, having a president or presidents of the coalition come forward and say, I'm here today with, uh, Dr. Jarvis or Dr. Petrosian or whomever, and today we're talking about this. Really getting the word to the people in a way that they are comfortable with, right? Getting them out of their shell, essentially. So I would say that social media is another way of really getting to folks and letting them being more open on, just being more open and getting to speak with you.
Has to be the right social media, I guess, depending on the age of the person you're working with.
Exactly.
A lot of our, probably Jen, it probably happens at Clinique Jap too, but a lot of our case managers communicate by text with our clients. It's just the easiest way to get things done. So it's a telephone call occasionally will get through, but the text almost always gets through. So it's very one-on-one too. And I liked what Lynn was mentioning. So yeah, we've had the same experience with Joel Copeters, one of our partners and a religious leader. He says, man, we are really like we were very busy. We don't have enough pastors. We don't have enough priests. We don't have enough imams in Montreal. And we have a lot of work to do. And so we really do appreciate clinical, community-oriented clinicians that are going to be helping or giving us some extra support. So I think that's just important to keep in mind.
I've just put in the chat the Black Men's Wellness Circle, and actually they were featured on Global TV by was it Global or CTV actually? CBC about 2 months ago. And I'm just finding them. I'll send you the name, the contact actually of the leader. His name is Khan Buba Dalembaye. He's co-facilitator with that program.
Excellent.
Yeah, he was one of our leaders in the community.
Yeah.
True. Thank you for that. Excellent.
I have a question. I really enjoyed the fact that you mentioned some points of contact that we somehow forgot and are part of our upbringing, like a newspaper, local newspaper, radio. And I was just wondering, you spoke about the newspaper contact. Is it a weekly, a monthly? What is it's
It's a monthly paper.
monthly paper, and who is reading it? Like a family, more, yeah.
Yeah, families, individuals. Actually, when people they distribute at different places, whether it's a bagel, Montreal Bagel, or they're at downtown Montreal and somewhere, or in a community organization, or in stores. Whenever it comes out, people are like, "Oh my God, I didn't get my contact," right? So it's well received. They actually at different community events, they'll have a bunch of contacts. By the end of the night, there are no contacts left. So it's really well received and people want it. They want to see what's happening in the contact. And definitely I can get you in touch with the leaders there. Elizabeth Phillips is the leader, and I'll definitely send you her contact information so you can reach out to her if you want to talk about, what that could look like.
From our research point of view, we have always hard time to reach some families, and we think not everyone is in the digital era. And I think
correct.
newspapers and radio can create a contact within the family in a less intrusive way, and therefore, awareness can enter from the air, not really in a way that is too abrupt. Yeah.
Exactly. Every Thursday I do a 5-minute segment with CKUT, just really highlighting what's happening at the association. And that's the Jamaica Association. And I'm always amazed at how many people heard the this 5-minute segment of things that we talked about. Whether it was, we're having a brunch today, or we're doing this, or the High Commissioner's coming, or whatever it is, people tune in, and I'm always surprised at who is tuning in to the radio station. So then that's just one. We have at least 5, 6 different shows, whether it's on a Sunday, a Saturday, the midday, wherever, early in the morning at 6. We have connections to the different radio announcers, radio shows that can highlight what's happening at the Jewish in this respect, where people should call. If you need a group of men to call a particular, we'll get a very a well-known figure where men respect, and we'll say they're having a men wellness clinic, you have to go. You got to go there. If there's something going on and you need this, we'll get, let's say, Butcher T, as in he does noontime cuts. He's well respected in the community. He's known in the community. He's a 30-year veteran of radio. Everybody knows Butcher T. He's a DJ, but he's also a business person. You hear it from Butcher T, you got to go.
Interesting.
Mhm.
One of your points of inflection was having members on boards, and I just wanted to clarify what you meant by that.
Well, how to get involved, or getting involved in however that means for you. Just like how we are connected through the grants that we've written, and we're on board with you.
Mhm.
Like, how do we get involved? Maybe it's another way to say it. How do we get involved with you to be able to have these conversations? And we're doing this. This is essentially what we're doing now. But how do we do more so with different groups? As I mentioned, in the coalition, there are at least 7 or 8 different groups. But
Yeah.
there are other people out there that can be involved, and you can say, okay, with this group, we're doing this, with that group, we're doing that, so that your message is really fanning out across the community. And it's not just coming from one group of people. The Grenadians are saying it, the Antiguans are saying it, the Bajans are saying it, all these people are saying it.
Mhm.
And through the coalition, we're bringing the community together through the coalition. So you have different leaders that are connected and are connecting the same message. It resonates that much more.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess on the clinical side or research side, we're striving to have greater representation, like in our clinics of the people working there,
Yeah.
like a real mix of people, different backgrounds and different genders, so we can really, I think reach out to a wider range of people. People feel like there's more of an inclusion.
Yeah. That's definitely hands down another part of the conversation too.
We can always advocate for that. We may
Mhm.
not feel we have very powerful people on this call, but we do all work somewhere, and
Mhm.
I really think administrators listen to clinicians if they have honest needs and they see there's a lack of something.
Mhm.
I've had that experience in our clinic. Our administrators have listened to what I've said to them. They've tried to move in a positive direction in terms of diversity and inclusion, even though they can't always do it right away, but they listen, they understand their need and the reality of that. So I think we can move in that direction. So that this is a really important point you bring up there, Sharon, as well. Okay, well, this is wonderful. Well, thank you for all of your comments and everything. I think it's been a really interesting presentation and a really on the ground, I think very grounded kind of discussion, which I think is helpful for clinicians especially. And we hope to have a few more of these meetings, maybe live and in person over the next month in a couple of the clinics. So we're working on that with the leaders of those clinics at the Douglas, at the Clinique Jap, maybe at the MUHC too. I think I saw somebody. Oh yeah, Louise is here from the MUHC. Yeah, excellent. So good stuff. Any other final comments or questions before we move to the next phase, which is the live and in person? Live and in person is better in many ways, as you know. It's very much more. I feel it's much more grounded. But we can have this kind of a discussion. Can be good. People can come in from different places. It's a little more accessible. So it's nice to have a balanced approach of both.
Okay,
Thank you so much, everyone. Well, I guess we can,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.